Hi guys, Rachel Krill here with EXP, and we're Friday morning live with lenders. Got Diane and Thomas here. Just wanted to kind of catch up on what's going on in the lending world today. I know Rach dropped a little bit this week from what I heard. Some things are changing with underwriting. People are having issues with those. So Diane, you kind of want to take the lead there and let us know how things are going in your world?
Well, let Thomas talk, because I know he wants to talk a little bit about the football. So let him talk about that.
Tell us about your football world first, Thomas.
Well, first off, like, we all have to discuss the fact that fantasy football's in play. Okay, and that's a big deal for all of us. And there was no fans in the stands. So that gives us more time, if you're not in a fantasy football league, to focus on getting in one immediately. And I'm currently trailing by 22 points, okay? And I had Travis Kelce go against Patrick Mahomes last night. And obviously, if you guys watched, Kansas City walked all over Houston. So for all of you who doubted whether Patrick Mahomes should get a $500 million contract, well, he just showed you why. Okay. So, no. So I think, talking about this week, Diane, I think one of the things that we should be talking about is, you said how many people are out there getting frustrated with lenders about underwriting. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's a real topic, and I'd love to shed some light on some perspective for people when they're going to get mad at some of their partners, because I think without that context, it's really hard to understand.
Well, what I was telling Rachel, something that you and I are not going to do is submit a file to underwriting without knowing it will be approved. Nope. So in other words, if a loan if we're submitting it and putting it together and doing all the work, that's a lot of work. I don't know if a lot of people are aware. I know some people think that I'm out by the pool drinking margaritas and come in and take a few calls, during the week. But that's not how this works. I mean, it takes a lot of effort and thought behind submitting loans to underwriting. And yes, we have assistants that are there to help us, but we're not going to submit a loan to underwriting unless we are 100% sure it's going to be approved. But what's happening is, I think in a lot of other lenders, is that they have hired underwriters because of the amount of volume. And some of those underwriters are not as experienced or have the goodness, we've got to make this work attitude. And that's where Thomas and I come in to make sure that they understand or see. It's up to me to put this loan in a pretty package with a great big ribbon on it and hand it to the underwriter, so that when she opens it, it all makes sense to her. And but that's not always how that works.
Yeah, I think, to what I'm speaking of right now, so people know, is that it's a math equation, right, Rachel? It's just a math equation. And I know people don't want to hear that. And when we're running late on underwriting, and it may not be for Diane, but it is for us, we're running late because we have so much volume. And when you go buy an Apple computer and they run out of the MacBook Pro, the 17-inch, you simply cannot buy any more MacBook Pros. Like, you just can't get them. It says shipping time, 8 months, right? Whatever. Yeah. In fact, you won an iPad. Remember how long it took us to get that? Right? It was sold out. It was just sold out. So the thing that I want to convey to people is, you really have two choices in this industry. You can act like, and I'm seeing this, you can act like you are incapable of understanding different businesses, and that you're so narrow-minded that you can't understand why something may be a week or 2 weeks late. Or you can seek first to understand. And sometimes how we behave in stressful situations defines us as professionals, right? And that's what we're supposed to be. Yeah. Professionals, leaders in resolving issues. If it was super simple, if all you had to do was walk outside, grab a client, point to a house, and then they could just walk to the bank, they'd give them a check and you'd walk to title. Well, there would be a lot of people being realtors, more than there is now. Right? Or everyone would just
Don't say that, Thomas. Right? We got enough of them out there.
Right? But what defines the people that step out, like yourself, Rachel, are those who can take a moment and step back and recognize that there's a difference in the climate. And let me tell you, there is a difference in the climate. Right? As of right now, I've talked to several different people around the nation. I'm in groups, like masterminds with mortgage lenders. And I'm asking, hey, what are your turn times? in the Northwest, I talked to a company that they're 45 days in underwriting, right? They're 45 days in underwriting, and a loan officer can't control that. They just have more loans than people. So then I think a lot of argument that we hear from professionals out there is like, we'll get more people. Well, Diane just pointed to something really, she's in my corner this way. She might be in your corner that way. Diane just pointed to something really specific about our industry is underwriters don't grow on trees. They are trained professionals. And we as a loan industry don't staff for a Saturday. And what that means is you ever go to a department store and on Saturday there's a million people in there? The department store doesn't staff for Saturday because if they did, they'd be broke by Wednesday, right? They have to staff for what their expected and continuous volume is. I can assure you that none of us predicted the market would move this way. And if I would have known the market was going to move this way, well, I wouldn't be on this call, right? I'd be retired, right? Because that's market crash. You could have bought a short option on the crash, and you could have bought, a put or another call on the sell. We're not psychic, but what we can do is tell you we're out there really trying hard. Lenders are, and every different company. I'm talking Fairway, Academy Mortgage, People's, Diane's company, Barrett Financial. All the great companies are out there. They are really trying hard to deliver to our real estate agents. They're trying really hard to provide people with the resources that they want to keep people happy. But a lot of my referral partners ask me, Thomas, how long do you need right now for closing? And I'll say, hey, I really need 45 days. And then I get a contract for 25. I'm not mad about it because I recognize as a professional, that professional is doing what they have to do to get the deal. But they ask me, hey, Thomas, what's your service delivery expectation? And I express that. And so the disconnect becomes is you're doing what you got to do to get the offer accepted, but I have limited bandwidth. I'm sold out. And as we're getting closer to getting that fixed, I just want people to know, hey, when you're calling lenders out there, mind your manners. Really do. You are professionals. I expect every lender that you call to return your phone calls, to address your problems, to be upfront about their issues. But we have to remember as professionals, we have to leave a doorway for people to tell the truth. It's like your kids. If every time your kid came in the house late and you were like, why'd you come in late, blah, 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 and they couldn't tell you the truth, you'll surely start getting lies, right? But if you leave a conduit like, hey, you were late, home, the responsibility for you is to be here. If you leave and they could go, well, Dad, Jan's mom was drinking and I didn't feel comfortable getting in the car, you might get some information that'll help you grow as a parent or as a professional. So I'll get off the box, but I want people to know I'm getting a lot of calls from a lot of unprofessional agents, and you should be embarrassed,
Well, agents out there, I think the key is one, having a lender that you enjoy working with. I was telling Diane before I got on this call, there's a lot of things that your lender can do for you that as an agent, I was meeting with some of my mentees the other day and telling them, you need to understand the loan process. That's part of our job. We don't have to know every single detail, but you need to know enough to keep deals together, to know what to do. My mom's an agent down in Yuma, and they don't do a lot of solar. They got an underwriter up there who doesn't understand the solar lease and is saying, we won't accept this solar lease because it's not transferable, because she's reading it wrong on the $250 pay or qualifying by credit, right? And so what she had to do was, it was a lender she's not used to working with, was to call her local lender and say, hey, here's a copy of the lease. Can you have your underwriter look at this and can you save this deal? Where people like you and Diane can do that and go, we understand this, where when you have the professional lender that you're used to working with, they're going to look at that solar lease addendum during processing, not 3 days before close of escrow, when the underwriter is the first one to look at it. Right? And so I think that's key in this market, especially with, we're seeing a lot of appraisers come back out that haven't done appraisals in 10 and 15 years coming out, and we're wondering why we're having some of those issues. I think that's the same in underwriting with some of these, Bank of America style companies. They're just hiring anyone they can that don't know what they're doing. And so that's why it's important to be with a Diane and a Thomas that have control of their underwriting, that don't just have a third party in another state doing their underwriting that they can't talk to.
Part of it is that Thomas and I have to be advocates for our clients. We have to be just as knowledgeable on the guidelines as the underwriter, because underwriters, they're moving fast and furious. They may overlook things, or they may interpret things differently.
Mhm.
And so it's up to us to be able to have the communication with our underwriters so that they can see what we're seeing.
Mhm.
And then the other communication is with upper management, because if by any chance they don't happen to see it our way, then instead of holding my breath and turning blue like I used to do so I could get my way, I know the management's involved in our underwriting, what am I trying to say here? But our underwriting to be able to get them to see it my way.
Yeah.
And if they don't, if that's the case, then what options do we have to make this work?
To make it work.
There's no such thing as a denial. We have to see, okay, there are always options. There are always options for the client. They may not like the options, although sometimes when I do have to provide options, I am more often than not pleasantly surprised that the client says, oh, that's not an issue. I can do that. So these are things that stand us apart. We're not, nor just like Thomas was saying, I'm not going to call my client. I'm not going to call my realtor until I know exactly what the issues are, definitely, and what are options. What are our options to make this work? And then I call the parties. Usually I'll call the realtor first and say, this is what's happened. This is what we can do to solve it. And then I call the client. What happens is in a lot of the other banks, and I'm not going to mention names, there's no option for that. If you're calling a call center and working with a loan officer in a call center, they don't know how to help you.
Yeah.
No,
It rhymes with Hell's Cargo, just in case.
But I think, Thomas, what you were saying, agents being frustrated with their lenders right now, any agents out there watching, learn the loan process. You won't be so frustrated. If you understand what's going on and why they're needing this information or why there's backlog going on there, it's easy to not get so frustrated with your lender and understand the process. I think a lot of it is people don't understand the process and they just want it to go boom, boom, boom like this straight. And I think sometimes the loan process goes up and down a little bit. And when you have a lot of emotions going on there because you don't understand why there's ups and downs, it makes it a little bit hard to work through and keep the emotions out of it and just get the deal done, which at the end of the day, we all want to do. We want to get this loan process to the finish line.
Yeah.
So.
I think, what I'm saying to people is, I think one of the most common comments I hear when an agent calls to complain about a loan officer, or to talk about a situation. And I have 185 that I'm responsible for. And the common comment I hear is, hey, I just wish they communicated more. And I'm in agreement with them. Like, you know what? They really should, because then I wouldn't be getting this phone call, right? When I call and they're nice to me. When I call the agent or the client or the loan officer, they'll play me back some of the messages that these agents leave. They don't leave a place to communicate. The agent never did. If you tell, as a realtor, if you tell a lender, hey, I want communication, but when they call you, you treat them like a child or yell at them, I can guarantee you
they're not going to call you.
And you're not going to get calls. Because nobody, neither you or I, wants to be treated like we're not have a common interest, right? Rachel, I don't know if people are familiar, but my loan officers don't get paid unless your loan funds, right? Just like you. So they're highly tied to making sure that they have a good progress, and nobody likes customer heat. And when we say customer heat on our side, Diane, we say we don't like agent heat, okay? Agents are yelling at us more than—
Hey, are you saying we're that bad, Thomas?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But I think the heightened emotions right now, I want to give people perspective so they're better equipped to get the answers they want. Because ultimately, when you're making a phone call to Diane or Thomas or Jim or Joe, you want answers. You want to find out what's going on. And I want people to have the tools to get those answers. So the one thing I'm going to tell everyone, no matter who you're working, whether it's me to title, you to me, me to you, kill people with kindness. Because when I get a phone call from Rachel Krill, I know I'm not going to get yelled at. I know she's just trying to figure out what's going on. Hey, help me. And that's an easy phone call to answer. But when you change the tone and you think you're tough or you're going to show them, this is not customer service at a department store, right?
Yeah.
You're not buying clothes. You're treating with people who are licensed professionals who've been in this business for years, who've had amazing successes up and down and have learned hard ways and good ways. And I just want people to, give each other on all transactions, especially partners in our industry, to give each other more credit. And I think if we saw that, we would, one, I think we'd get a lot better communication, the thing that everyone's asking for. But two, I can assure you, your clients behave based on your reaction, right, Rachel? Like,
Definitely.
I know that when I've got a hyper loan officer and a hyper realtor, the client somehow becomes hyper. When things go wrong or there's something changing in the environment and you got calm Diane on one side and Rachel on the other, the clients are like, oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, we understand. It's really funny how we set the tone for other people's stress, including our own.
Thomas, I teach a class on that at the Forum. If anyone wants to come, on happiness and how emotions set the tone for the transaction. So it's definitely true. So speaking to this, we've probably got some new agents that are watching this or going to go back on the website and watch it. If you could explain one thing about the transaction, how it works that maybe might take a little bit longer, or maybe people don't understand the difference between processing and then going into underwriting and conditions. Diane, what's one thing that you would explain that you might get a lot of calls on from agents that are frustrated over the timing of what something's taking on your guys' end, so that they don't have that frustration because they're learning why it's taking the time that it's taking?
Well, I think the timeline that takes the longest, at least for us, and where the agents can help out, is if the agent tells their client, do everything Diane and Thomas says. Do everything. Do not argue with them. Do it. And I think that, because from beginning to end, from the time that we send the disclosures out, it's all through DocuSign. Sign them. That's first piece. That means we can't put your file into underwriting until the mandated government disclosures are signed. The second piece is once, and of course it's important for the loan officer to put together a perfect loan application where all the information is in the application correctly. That is and if you don't tell the loan officer everything, we're like a priest. We're like, you're a psychiatrist. Tell us. We are not going to tell anyone. Well, I had a foreclosure and I didn't want to talk about it, or my ex-wife took all my money. Tell me. I want to know. It may not be something I can use in the file because there's no, hey, this guy's really nice. Could you just approve the loan? It's not one of those buttons to it. But tell us, because we need to know. No matter, you may think, what's what happened. I may have this judgment. Tell us so we're prepared. But the other piece of it is to get the loan out perfect, get the disclosures out, and give us our documentation. The documentation, well, I did a loan. My Uncle Bob did a loan, and he didn't have to provide you with a pay stub. Why do you need another pay stub? Why do you need another bank statement? The time you're sitting here arguing with me on whether I need a pay stub or a bank statement, you could have provided it. We could have it in underwriting, and we would be well on our way.
Yeah.
I think those are the issues that at least delay us or have. But the other piece of it is if they've already, we try. I know that Thomas does too. We have this discussion with our clients up front, and even it's in my emails. This is what's to be expected. I always have a what to expect email, but it helps if the agent is there to have our back and say, they call you and say, can you believe it? She asked me for another pay stub. I've already given her. Yeah, this is just the way it is. And you can even say, this is the new COVID climate. Everything's COVID now. You just have to do it. It's always been that way. That's another, that they say, oh, okay. So anyway.
One thing I do, agents out there, if you're watching, in my first time home buyer presentation, I let the clients know up front, anything the lender asks, your job is to try to get it to them within a few hours, not a few days. And I think that will help a lot of issues out there that, we don't know when the lender's asking for stuff. We're not that involved in the transaction. I don't want to be that involved on every email that you're asking for a pay stub, but I want my clients to know up front, you need to get this stuff ASAP. And as agents, we should follow up every couple of days. Hey, do you have everything to the lender that they need? That makes good communication on our end too, guys. So Thomas, go ahead, Diane.
Well, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you, but especially in this timeline that we're all experiencing right now, that the expediency is what's going to ensure that your loan will close on time. And in my career, it's been very rare that I've had to call an agent and say, hey, I need your help, except for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And I've had to call the agent and say, hey, I'm not getting what I need. They're pushback. I've given them all the explanations. You know why they can't get to me? It's because they're busy. They're really busy. And I get it. People have got kids at home. They've got this and they got that. But if that loan doesn't close on time, whose fault it's going to be? It's going to be my fault. And that's going to reflect badly on the agent because you were kind enough to refer your client to me. So that's why it all, like you were talking about the team and being cohesive on what is required.
Yeah. Thomas, if you could say one thing to kind of educate some new agents out there on what you would like help with to make this process, especially right now when you guys need a little bit more turnaround time and we're having to go really short on contracts because there's 18 offers on a house in 2.6 seconds, what would you recommend to help keep that communication and things going smoothly with both sides?
Number one thing, by far, without a doubt, everyone can hear me on this, new old agents, expectations. Setting proper expectations. The loan process to me is like a plane ride. It seems really smooth up front, takes off, gets turbulence, then lands, right? I mean, expectations. If you're talking to your lender, your referral partners are telling you it's longer, appraisals are longer, things are tighter. Like Diane said, expectations. Get them everything they need. It's a lot of money they're borrowing. Yeah, we're hoping to close by the 28th. We put it on your contract to get the offer. But as I've been witnessing, I've seen things carry on 3 or 4 days. I've seen a lot of fine and fun the same day. I want you to be prepared for that emotion towards the end. When that happens, when you set expectations, it literally changes the experience. It literally does. Yeah. And so that's it. If I don't want people to know every step of processing, underwriting, like that's what you pay for us, right? That's why you pay us to do it. So I love the opportunity for all those professionals out there. Show us what you've got. Take all that experience you always tell me you have on the phone. I've been doing it for 20 years. If you've been doing 20 years and you've never had a problem, I don't believe that you've been doing it for 20 years. So take all that experience, cultivate that in my worst case scenarios. I'm going to give this to a client. Because if you say, man, it's going to be tough and they've done this and this and it goes smooth, guess what? You set an expectation of turbulence and they got a smooth plane ride and they love you. And so that's all I would ask. Number one thing, expectations.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining. I guess the summary of today is, one, let's all be a little kinder to each other. It's a crazy market out there, agent to agent, agent to lender, lender to title, everybody. Keep emotions in check. It makes the transactions go much smoother. And agents out there, let's communicate with our lenders. Let's communicate with people, understand the process, and make this, it's already hard out there for buyers, especially getting, beat out on these offers sometimes. So once they do, let's make this a great process for them by working with lenders who understand, can problem solve, and get this done. So yeah. I appreciate you guys being on the call. I'm Rachel with EXP.
Oh, can I add something? Yeah, Chuck Fenton will be a guest next week with Cisco Credit. So he will be here to discuss credit issues and how to solve them.
Okay, that's going to be a great show to watch. So if you guys want to hear about credit issues, and I'm sure a lot of you are working with those buyers right now who are wanting to buy but have some credit issues, but interest rates are great. So log on and let's all learn about that. So thanks for being on, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend and week. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.